So hello fellow banknote collectors, and this is Glenn, and in today's video we're going to be having a look at France's banknotes that we used in designing, basically from the First World War to the Second World War, in between that war period. So I don't actually have that many banknotes, but they are representative because they're divided into two. We've got the mono color type, which generally has just the one color, and that comes in the 5, 10, 20 and 50 franc, and I don't have the 50 and 20 francs because they're a bit more expensive. Then we have the multicolored series, and that also comes in a 50 franc, 100, 500, 500 was monocolor, 1,000 and 5,000 francs. So the 1,000 and 5,000 francs are pretty expensive to get and also pretty hard. Most of those would have been handed in when there was a banknote changeover. So in this case, it would have been during the Second World War. So from the 1940s, they actually started to reduce the actual banknotes that they actually had in circulation. So here we have the reduced banknotes. Where's the 5 franc? Okay. And I'll do these in another video, but basically you can see there's actually a reduction in size. So let's have a look at the 5 franc. So reduction in size, and also they've actually made them a lot more artistic, with lots more different colors. They basically look like watercolor paintings. So we'll worry about those in another video because they're actually quite nice banknotes. So the lowest banknote that they actually had circulated was the 5 francs. So here we have one from 1939. And this one was first issued in 1916. And as you can see, it has a portrait of just an allegorical feature. So she probably actually represents France. Don't worry, my pencil is probably about that far away from the actual banknote, so it's not going to actually draw a line on it. I know it looks a bit confusing, looks like I'm going to draw on the banknote. So that is an allegorical feature of a woman, probably representing the Republic or France. And here we have the signatures down below, and the actual serial numbers are actually quite complicated. So here we have I reckon that this is actually the basic one, so this one will actually tick over first. So the next banknote will be N63037. So, and that is a, what do you call that? Radar note, because if you turn the numbers around, they're exactly the same. So then we have another serial number up here. The 553 down here is just the end part of the 553 here. So that's 1 billion 575,887,553. So there's over 1 billion banknotes being printed so far. And that would have consisted of banknotes that were first printed in 1917. So that is a 17, 27, 37. So 27, a 23-year time span they're actually printed. So obviously these are actually quite low denominations. And after the Second World War, France actually went through inflation period. Despite issuing silver coins, the currency was still devalued, and actually did change the actual silver content. So they took the silver out of half, 1 and 2 franc and the 5 franc, and put silver coins of higher denominations in circulation. So here we have on the back, this is a bit hard to see, which is quite common for these banknotes because they generally fade. So we have a ship here, and we have a wharf worker. So obviously he's carrying something from the ship. So a dock worker, or wharf worker, same thing. And the watermark is, it's hard to see actually, even with light. The watermark's actually that. Then we have the 10 franc. So this one was issued in 1916, and as you can see, the colours are actually a hell of a lot better. They stand out a lot more. And on this banknote we have Minerva, which is a Roman god. So that's Minerva there. Then we have the serial numbers. So also another thing I didn't say is the actual date changes every day. So here we have two banknotes from 1940. So this is actually the second last series, last series for 1941. Then we've got the 10 for the 1040, 12 for the 1240. So every day they actually printed a banknote, they actually changed the date on it. So if you actually want to get banknotes from 1940, you probably have to get one for every day. There's probably some days where they didn't print banknotes, but I'm not too sure what days they are. Then you have the two letters, US, DF, they just changed, they're pretty random. So I have banknotes with like the 1240, 1240, probably have different letters on those banknotes. As you can see, the signatures are the same. So we've got the General Cashier and the Secretary General, which we can understand those because we actually adopted those words into English. So, and the watermark is also, looks like it might be Poseidon, Roman god, not too sure. And on the back we have a woman, some people refer to as a peasant woman. She has a sickle, so to cut, grains, that's a sickle. And then we have lots of plants around her. So it's a basic design. It's actually quite a nice banknote. And if we look at this one, you can see the colours on this side are actually quite good. On the back, the colour, see this one's a lot better, but it's still, because it's a light colour, it's actually hard to see. If this was actually a darker blue, like we have on, not that one, like if we have here, it would actually stand out from the white background. And then the highest banknote I actually have, and I've actually done a video on this banknote before, is the 100 franc. And as you can see, it's like a masterpiece watercolor. These earlier banknotes are actually way better than banknotes actually issue now. So this is 100 franc, first issued in 1909, and 1939 was the last issue, so it lasted for 30 years. And basically they actually took it out of circulation and reduced size just because the value of the actual banknote was reduced. And the same thing with the date, changes every day. And then you got the ticking over serial number, then you got the main serial number. So this is probably the prefix, that's probably the suffix. These two are part of the suffix. And if you can see, all these images, allegorical features, means they don't represent a person, they just represent an idea. So we have a boy with sheep, so sheep herding. And we have some apples up here, it looks like. And she has a shovel. This person has is that a hoe? So that you dig up the ground with. So agriculture, this scene represents agriculture. And this guy has a bag, probably with a wool inside. And on this side we have, so this is, he has a anvil and a hammer. So that he's a blacksmith, quite obviously. They're pretty much gone extinct. You don't really need those because you have mass manufacturing now. Here we have a woman with a cornucopia, so with abundant fruit, represents agriculture. Another young child with a wreath, so probably olives. And then we have some, looks like some lemons in the actual background. It's actually quite a nice banknote, quite colourful. I wish I actually print banknotes like this now. What countries actually use banknotes like this? I would say pretty much none. because these are old design. The thing about banknotes is that with the changes in taste, there's actually a change in banknote design, so you can actually see that quite clearly. In the United States, it's actually a throwback to the 1800s. So let's have a look at how much these banknotes cost. So here's a good collection, costs $59. This one, if I had seen it earlier, I probably would have got that. It's actually a good starters collection. So you have the older banknotes. Let me get my pen. So you got the 5 franc, you got the 10 franc. Then you got the second series, so you got the 5 and the 10 franc, 20, 50, 100, another 100, 1,000. This one would actually be quite expensive. And then you got the series that was issued after the Second World War, which is just at 100 franc. Then you got ones issued by the Allied powers. They didn't circulate long, but they're still pretty common. So it's actually quite a nice banknote. And then you got 5 franc for like $6, 100 franc, another, so 5 francs, so probably in a low grade, probably $5, but it's getting mixed up with other countries. So $5 here we have for the second one. $10. Okay, so 1931, $10. Looks like it's been a bit damaged. But if we go back, oops. So not many have sold lately, but basically you're buying one in probably very fine condition, probably about $10, I would say, for a 5 franc. That's 1939. If you go back to an earlier date, you're probably talking a lot higher price, because 1939, 40, the last years the banknotes would have been kept because they would have been changed over and people just keep them, thinking that they're going to be valuable in the future, but they don't necessarily turn out that way. In the 30s and that, they get spent and damaged because they always have new banknotes of the same design coming out, so people don't really keep them. And so here we have the 10 franc, so you can get pretty low grades for a few dollars. 100 franc, $9 is probably the lowest you get. So for a good banknote, you're probably looking at $10 as well. That includes postage apparently. And this is the later dates, so if you want to get one 1917, then you're probably looking at a higher value. So these all come from France, so they should be actually quite common in France. So basically, I would actually purchase one of those if I was going to buy it. But the 100 franc, you see, has a lot of holes in it, so this one's really not, I wouldn't buy that. And this is from the second series. Well, we're not talking about that. But here we have some that seem to be in pretty good condition. So $9. Obviously, probably has pinholes and a lot of damage. But if you want one in a better condition, so these are what, fine to very fine, $10. If you just want it for your collection, and just get a good one without holes in it. So obviously quite common in France, but you have to be ready to wait for about 2 months for postage. So that's basically what you'll be paying for these banknotes. If you want one earlier date than 1940, 39, oh, this is 34 I mean. So they've got the date range 1908 to 39. I haven't seen a 1908, I've seen a 1909. That's why I said they come out in 1909. 1934, 31. So if you want it in the 10s or 20s, then you're probably paying a lot more money. Anyway, that is what you actually be paying for those beautiful banknotes from France. Anyway, I hope this gives you an idea of what these banknotes will cost, and I hope it encourages you to actually purchase these banknotes. Now, not many sellers in Australia actually sell these banknotes. I don't really sell that many of them. And when I do, they actually pretty much go anyway. So anyway, thank you very much for watching my video. Have an awesome banknote and coin collecting time. Thank you and goodbye, fellow coin collectors.